Most of you are not using AI as well as you should be, and you're watching nonsense, garbage videos talking about, hey, here's how you make an automation agency, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. And you're still missing the point. You're 100% missing the point. By the way, that's a Gibson Les Paul standard. It's beautiful. Anyway, you're not using AI to the fullest extent because it's boring and because you can't sit through videos like this. I look at my channel right now, and the most viewed videos are the least important. The most important are the least viewed. Hence, everything as usual. But for those of you that actually want to make money with AI, you want to be elite with AI, you want to be on the cutting edge of this thing, you need to know what I'm about to show you in this video, okay? So, especially with the GPT-5 update that just came out, context windows. Basically, think of it as your computer's memory, but for AI. How long can it remember things? It's now been shortened. GPT-5, I'm having some good success with it. I'm seeing a lot of people complain about it, but it does have a shorter context window. What does this mean? Well, if you're actually using AI and you're actually doing work with it, you're going to get hit with this message. Okay, you're going to get one of these LLMs that says, hey, you hit the maximum length for this conversation. What do you do about that? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how. So the next time you go spend hours doing project requirements, context profiles, instructions, documents, examples, and then you get hit with that, and then you just go to start a new chat, and it's like you're speaking with a brand new person. It doesn't remember what you're talking about. This is how you fix that. So if this sounds familiar, here's what is actually happening behind the scenes, okay? So again, if you care about being good at AI and you're not just like using it as a buzzword, this is the stuff you need to actually know. So LLMs have what is called a context window. So think of this as like the short-term memory. So your RAM or whatever in your computer. So 4.0 had 128,000 tokens. Claude 4 has 200,000. Gemini 2.5 has 2 million tokens. And that sounds huge, but it's really not, because a typical project that you're going to be using or that I use is about 50,000 tokens in just the basic setup. Now, we've really had to figure this out, especially at my startup Kendo, hence the swag, because in one conversation, if you run a 40-minute sales call with the AI and it's talking about like your offer, objections, it has to remember all of this stuff. And so we've had to figure this out. And this is basically what happens on the back end. Again, you're not an engineer, so you don't need to know this exactly, but it's still important. So let's say by turns. So I say a turn as in like I'm talking to it and back and forth. So turn 1, you have input, your output. Then turn 2 is going to be more, right? So more context. By turn 3, once it starts to kick in with the reasoning and the thinking, and especially GPT-5 is kind of slow right now for this, you get this cutoff. Now, the word trunicated just means cut off, like cut short. So basically your output is getting cut short because it can only handle so much. So think of it as like a water bottle, right? Every interaction you have with the AI is filling it up, and then eventually it's just going to get cut off. And let's say you need to get to the top of this water bottle, but you run out of water. Think of it in that sense. So how do we fix this? Like, what do we do? What is the solution to actually use this? Okay, so we have different types of memory when it comes to LLMs. Okay, so think of AI memory like your brain. It's got different types of storage. So you have short term, you have long term, you have like the sort of unconscious memory that you remember of things. So we have our working memory, which is the context window, if you ever hear that word. You have the session memory, which is like built-in features. And then you have infinite memory, which is really kind of like its knowledge base. Or if you go like put in your ChatGPT instructions for your profile, things like that. Okay, so layer 1, your working memory, is the current conversational context. So what are we actually saying right now in the live chat that I have with this LLM? Again, depending on the model, you have an X amount of tokens. Now, this is for a single conversation only. If you're trying to do multi-conversations and all these things, you have to either tell it to remember, which OpenAI is actually really good at this. Like I have told my GPT to remember like our pricing, how things work, our art style, our branding, like all these things. And it remembers that for me, at least so far, because I have to spin up new chats. But this memory stores your A to Z of your current conversation if you don't get too large. Now, layer 2 is your session memory. So this is GPT, Claude, etc. This varies by platform as far as the capacity of tokens you're going to get. And the duration of this is persistent across your chats. So this is what you're going to use for your personal preferences or your ongoing projects, meaning what I just told you, which is what I've saved with Kendo. So Like, hey, OpenAI or GPT, remember this pricing. This is my pricing. So that when I do financial models, I can just say, hey, you know our pricing, do this. Now, I have to manually tell it to remember these things, and still sometimes it forgets. Especially GPT-5 is kind of like, I don't know yet. I'm kind of happy and upset about it at the same time. So this memory stores the basic context of your conversation that you had in that session. So for example, if during a single session you had a chat about how your business revenue is up 50%, and the next chat you start, it will remember that broad information. It won't remember the nitty gritty or the really detailed things, just kind of the high level. Now 3 is where we get into infinite memory, but this is where you're going to have to do some engineering. Let me know if you want a video on this. I can show you guys how to set this up as well. This is your RAG powered unlimited recall. So RAG is basically, if you know what a vector database is, basically a vector database takes all this data and makes it really small file size and easy for AI to parse or to go through. RAG is basically the same thing, okay? So this is unlimited capacity, this is a permanent duration, and this is your knowledge base, your complex project, your business data. This is the elite level usage of AI versus someone just using their interface that they have with OpenAI. Now you can do this with like N8N. You can set up your own database. You can use something like Supabase, or I think we use Pinecone for vector stuff for Kendo. But this is how you get that massive memory saved. That way it can actually remember. Because you just got to think, like OpenAI, or we'll use as an example, like ChatGPT is an LLM. There's a lot of different applications for that LLM. Everyone's using it for different things. And the storage on the back end of this company, like they're building cities basically to hold servers for this. So it's not going to be able to remember everything you want it to remember, and then you have to restart that chat. This is the whole point of this video, until you get into doing this sort of thing, okay? I'm just educating you on what this is. We can, again, like I said, make a video on that if that's important to you. So why does this matter? Well, one, it depends on what you're using this for. But like, what does this mean? Well, if you want to go to save general context about you, so your age, if you watched the last video I did, we went over this, how to give it really good context on you and like your personal things and whatever. It can save these things. So you'll see this little like updated save memory. I get this every time I say, hey, I want you to save this. I want you to remember this, right? So if you want to have basic context of your previous chats, then session memory is going to be your friend. And most of these save naturally as far as LLMs. But again, once you get really, really advanced, if you're trying to be elite with this, you're going to have to set up either vector database or this RAG thing. So, but if you want to have consistent context between different chats, so chat, then you need to optimize your working memory. So how do we do that? Well, it's by using the context profile system, for lack of a better word. So this is where 90% of people fail. Again, most of you are treating AI like normies, and you're not using your freaking brain, and you're acting like a retard, and you're expecting to make money and be on the cutting edge of this most amazing thing that's ever happened to us. So please do this. Please lock in, okay? So this is where people fail. They start fresh conversations and spend 30 minutes re-explaining everything. But there's a smarter way. So you need to go watch these 2 videos if you have not yet. These are amazing context. This is a crazy face. These are great videos in specific like use cases. However, this is what we want to do. So layer 1, and I'm going to breeze through these because this is in that other video. You have your identity and your role, your project DNA, your working files and assets, your immediate context, and your output specifications, okay? So what does this do? Well, it makes sure that you're being as efficient as possible with your memory. So 99% of the time, it's more about the quality of your context rather than the quantity of your context. So if I am formatting and organizing things in this manner versus just raw text saying, hey, blah, 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 it's not going to work as well. So again, and I'm going to say this every freaking video, you're going to get out of AI what you put into it right now. Like eventually you won't have to worry about this. But right now, if you want to be like a ninja with this shit, this is what you got to do, okay? So here are some of the secret stuff that you can do. So context handoff. So when you reach the context window limit in a chat, so you have a chat, it says, hey, like full, whatever. All I want you to do is feed it this prompt. Say, create a comprehensive and detailed summary of our conversation that includes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I want to make sure that the LLM has all the main context needed so that I can talk to it and have the same expertise as you, as in you, the chat, talking to the AI. format this as a JSON context profile. Again, this JSON thing, I've seen people on Twitter like, oh, we don't need to do this. It just works a little bit better. Like, don't you want to be a little bit better? You know, like, do you go to the gym? Do you take creatine? Do you take supplements? Why? Because you want to be a little bit better. So, you know, we should probably do that. And so this way you can just feed it and you basically have all of your context for the next chat if it gets full, okay? So especially for Claude, your copywriting, you have a lot of context tokens being used, a lot of files, a lot of words, right? Create separate projects for different business areas. Use the knowledge base to upload these key documents and then write out detailed project instructions once and use them over and over and over and over. So when you do fill up, you don't re-context everything. You don't re-remember and re-give all this information. So here's some common mistakes just to troubleshoot for you guys. Mistake number one, you're information dumping. You're throwing everything into the AI in one massive paragraph. Doesn't work, okay? The right way, structure it, do the JSON thing. Just ask AI to structure it like that for you. You don't even have to do it yourself. Number two, assuming retention. So you're assuming it remembers everything rather than doing what I just said and saying, hey, please save all of this into a context, profile, instructions, whatever you want to call it, so that I can give it back to you. And I'm talking to you again, you as in the AI. Mistake number three, you're ignoring the token thing, meaning I don't care how many tokens I use. I don't care. I'm just going to say whatever I want. Be efficient. Compress these things. Keep it organized. You're going to get a lot more bang for your buck, especially if you're paying a lot of money for this. And then number four is you're not giving this any context in the sense of the versioning. And I just say that in like saving instructions. So you're starting from scratch every time rather than getting that file, giving back the file, or even just saving it as a project instructions. So guys, the bottom line is this, okay? If you want to be good at AI, like I am trying to be, and you want to be on the cutting edge, and you want to actually do crazy shit with this awesome tool we have, this stuff's important. It's boring. This is like the technical, like Zapier funnel stuff back in the day when I was getting into this. Like that's why I made more money than everybody. That's why we did better than everybody, right? Even in info, like Closer Cartel did a lot of money, like a lot of numbers, because we paid attention to these little things that everyone breezes over, you know? So it's important. Make sure you guys are using this stuff the right way. And yeah, stop being a retard. Use AI the right way. Let's make some money.